What's up, guys? So today I finally get to report myself after how many days has it been? Four, five? I don't even know. But I just wanted to tell you guys that after I thought I had recovered from that demon that hit me in my like respiratory system, it turns out that now I got something again, and it is much worse than what I had originally. And it appears to me that I check off every symptom when it comes to the stupid flu. Because let me tell you, I feel god awful. I'm not someone who gives up on life easily, but I'm not even supposed to be here today. I was supposed to be at work. And I decided to call out because first of all, my right shoulder is like completely busted. Like, I can't really move it. I can't really put much pressure on it. It's just nothing but pain. And my freaking eyes, especially like the back of my eyeball, if that makes sense. When I cough or when I sneeze, it feels like it's going to blow. And I last night, especially nights, these last two nights, they have been the worst. But like at nighttime, that's when my headache gets really, really bad. It feels like I am being crushed from both sides of the head. Like it usually starts in the very back and then a little a little further back from my temple. But it is such a god awful feeling. And my favorite part about all of this is that I'm also in my fucking period. And this is the period that has arrived after I missed it for 2 months. So you can imagine that I am just not faring very well at the moment. And on top of that, I haven't been able to eat because, okay, I feel hungry sometimes, but when I try to eat, I lose my appetite. But I've been forcing food through. I don't care. I'm not going to like succumb to starvation. But I just hate this. Like, I'm ready for life to be cool and good again. Like, I'm ready to lose weight. I'm ready to have energy and strength. I was only able to work out 1 day out of this week because everyone celebrates the Christmas paganism, and that way every single company has to shut down. McDonald's was closed, Walmart was closed. I went out for a little drive just because I got curious. I wanted to see what it was like. And the highway was understandably more congested. It wasn't paralyzed, but there was more traffic there. And I just wondered, why does everything have to die? I think the only places that were open might have been a pharmacy. And I said, thank God, because emergencies happen, especially during times like this. So you cannot just turn this into a desert because there's some stuff that you just cannot anticipate. But yeah, like my lungs are on fire, and I hate that I called out. That's all I keep thinking about. I'm like, well, had I shown up, I just gotta keep it real. Out of all weeks that I have to have a shitty schedule, this one has to be it. Because today I was supposed to have an 8 hour shift from 7 until 3. And then on tomorrow, I'm supposed to have a sweeter shift, one that's only 4 hours, which is what I want, given that I'm part time. And on Monday, this is the worst. I have a 10 until 6, which my availability isn't even open for after 5:30. But if I were to say something, I'm pretty sure they're gonna say, "Oh, but well, it's the holidays, so therefore." And I'm like, I don't care. That's why you have 30 more people, 40 more people in the department to choose from. But anyway, and I was just not looking forward to those fucking shifts. So I'm hoping to God that I don't get better within the next 2 days so that I can call out again. But my goal is to feel better. My goal is to feel better, right? I make it sound like I have a choice on this. But my goal is to be better by Wednesday so that I can show up to work for 7 hours and get paid time and a half. But usually, for some reason, even though I have like next to minimum wage where I work at, these people love to not schedule me for holidays. What makes you think that I want to be off on the holidays? I'm tired of saying I don't celebrate this mess. You're not listening to me. I don't care to be off on holidays, whereas everybody else fights to be off on the holidays. I don't care. But for some reason, somehow, I end up having my holidays off. Now, if I had kids and I were married with the greatest home life ever, motherfuckers would never give me the holidays off. Like they do now, when I have nothing. But anyways, that's just me bitching and venting because that's what I love to do on this channel, even though it's not the foundation of it. But yeah, you guys, I just hated that I was gaining such good momentum to get stuff done, and I had every intention of doing a Christmas stream. And then that's when I really started feeling like hell, to the point that at nighttime I was just collapsing. I was folding clothes, and then all of a sudden my lower back started aching, but it was a weird kind of ache. It wasn't a period related kind of ache. I can distinguish those. But it was just like a stiffening feeling. And then Thursday I went to work and I just could not focus. I ended up leaving 45 minutes later than I was scheduled for because I just could not move. I was slow as hell. But anyways, I still completed my shift. I only made one mistake that my manager had to call me for it so that he could help me put it up to date. It's just some computer inputs that I forgot. No big deal. And then I was like, dude, I am so sorry, but I was not having a good day. And he said, oh yeah, I heard. He was cool with it. But but holy crap, I mean, since yesterday I knew that today I had no chances of showing up. But I said to myself, yesterday I had two goals. One of them was to take a shower, and another one was to brush my teeth because it had been 2 days since I took a shower, and it had been a day and a half since I brushed my teeth. And then my dentist made it a point that I needed to brush and floss every night, especially flossing. I don't have problems with brushing, but sometimes I am so dead tired out of my mind that I don't do very well about brushing before bed if I snack on something after the gym. But but at least when it comes to no matter what, I brush 2 times a day. But my dentist says that clearly I need to improve on the flossing aspect. And then I said, if I did all that I need to do to have like a healthy body, I just would not have any hours in my day to do anything, not even sleep. but but yeah, it's stuff that it is possible to do. It's just that depending on what your circumstances are, you have odds against you. Because I always remind myself, for someone who is trying to like bring herself out of stuff, out of like tough situations by herself, and is trying to establish 2 businesses that are faring pretty well right now, and I am disciplined about how I invest my money, and I'm wise about staying away from unnecessary bills. And I also do not spend on bullshit irresponsibly. Like, I make a plan for everything, especially if I want to spoil myself with something. Then I tell myself, bitch, I'm working hard as hell. And I'm fucking proud of it, especially for everything that I achieve. And I'm still faring pretty well. So, what if I gain weight? It's losable. So, what if I get sick? It's possible to restore my health. But at least this just serves to me as a reminder that as assertive as I want to be with my manners, I may need to slow down a little bit because I was trying to do too many amazing things. And I'm like, although it's doable because I was doing it, it doesn't mean that it's right in the long run. And I got carried away. I'm like so hungry for success fast because it's already been like my 20s are pretty much gone and my life hasn't really changed. And well, it has changed some, but just not at the rate I need it to change to live the kind of life that I want, which is get up when I want to, have my own schedule, and nobody tells me what to do. Because I was born to be a leader, not someone who takes orders. Like, I just do not do well with people who I disagree with just telling me what to do or how to do something, especially when you have someone in a position of power when they're clinically crazy, but no one wants to admit it. For the longest time, I was being pretty much abused of, and I didn't know that that was happening because I refused to believe that anyone in that position, especially in that position for many years, I'm talking about 2 decades in that position, you don't really question them. You don't really doubt them. You're thinking, well, if they're there, it's because clearly every time they get tested or screened, they pass. So they clearly have to be right for the position. But more and more, you keep seeing more stories coming up of people who are just batshit crazy and they're holding important positions. And you wonder, why is it that I am in so much better shape and got better judgment, and I'm not deemed as worthy of such a position? But at the same time, when I think about it, I say, thank you, Lord, for like keeping me away from such a thing because I don't deserve that kind of stress, especially if I don't find that I'm being rewarded properly. And I don't want to sound like I'm thinking very unfairly high of myself. It's just that when you go through so many things and you spend a grand deal of your time thinking, and I'm talking about, I've been thinking this way since I was a senior in high school. That's when I started writing and putting my thoughts on paper. And those things that I wrote back then eventually would lead me to start the channel as we know it. And I just feel like we need a major reform on how we go about preparing people for future endeavors. Because I just feel like that stuff is being brushed over. In my experience working, all of my trainings have been so half assed that I've wondered how it is that we're still functioning as a company. And I feel like we give too much importance to things that don't deserve that importance. Prioritizing needs improvement, put it that way. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much my status now. I'm not planning on quitting or anything. It's just that I hate that this is happening like this, like give a sister a break. But anyway, I'm gonna catch up with the comments if my shoulder allows it. We love you and care for you. Hope that you get better soon. I love you guys too. That reminds me, on Thursday, when my manager was trying to get a hold of me, I got on the phone with him to tell him pretty much what he needs to do to put the system up to date. And then he said, "Girl, I hope you feel better." And then he texted me with another question. And then I replied. And then he said, "Got it. I really hope you feel better." And then moments later, he asked another question. About an hour later, he asked another question. And he goes, "I am really hoping that you feel better soon." And I'm like, now that I called out today, I'm like, all right, dude, you did not wish for my well being hard enough. But that's just the silly side of me, just trying to be humorous about the situation. But I like that. Sometimes you do have to like collapse sometimes to pick yourself back up. Because let me tell you, usually when when I when something like this happens to me and I recover, it's like I'm fucking invincible. Invincible. Like I come back and I don't get sick for ages. And I don't know if I told you guys this story, but in spring of 2014, I got this really, really bad disease. And back then, I had absolutely no chances of going to a doctor. But I had this thing that it nearly paralyzed me. I could not move. Like, going to the bathroom was nearly impossible. To sit down and get up and take a shower, unscrew caps was impossible. No matter how loose they were, it was impossible. Lifting, you know, those water gallons that have like the cap that you can like slide open? It was impossible for me to do that. And I was so depressed because I was like, is this what it's like to be 80 years old? But I'm only like in my 20s. You know, how is this happening to me? But yeah, I remember being so upset. And ever since I got that, nothing scares me anymore. Because even though I have this thing that, like, my waist hurts and my shoulder hurts really bad. And my knees were hurting 2 days ago. And my ankles too, but those seem to be better now. But yo, 2014, I was crying every single night of my miserable life. And you know what? I showed up to work in those conditions. And to make it even better, I used to not drive back then because I was still working on getting my license. It took me long because back then, mom and I had come back from moving across states. And then I said to her, yo, if we get my license now, the insurance bill is going to be so high that we're going to be homeless again. So I said, don't worry about it. If we find jobs, let's try to move somewhere where it's within reasonable walking distance from home for me. And then by will of God, we ended up somewhere that was less of a quarter mile away from where I had to work. So I was able to walk there. I was able to walk to work. If I sped walked, I could be there within 7 minutes. And if I walked normal pacing, I would be there within 10 minutes or so. But I think that's part of what helped me keep in shape because back then I used to not work out. And then after I stopped walking, that's when my life really began to decline. but but yeah, after I got that shit in 2014, nothing scares me because that is the worst I had felt in my life. I thought that would never improve. I never thought that would get better. But it lasted a month. It started on like April 7ish and it lasted until I want to say May the 2nd. In fact, I have a drawing think it's that one. I have a drawing that whenever it was that I drew that thing, that's when I officially felt like I had recovered. But you guys, I could not go upstairs. I could not bend down to pick anything up. I was just miserable. Like, it's not like I was a suicidal kind of miserable, you know? Because I'm a woman of faith. I always think that there's a way out for everything that doesn't involve that. But what made me miserable was my fear. My fear of, is this going to end? Is this how the rest of my days are going to be? And I could get used to something like that because, trust me, I was still showing up to work, even though I was struggling. But I'm someone who doesn't give up. But but fortunately, as of right now, when it comes to my coughing and sneezing, when I think about it, I have sneezed a few times, but it has been pretty dry sneezes. I'm not really congested. And when it comes to coughing, what scared me the most was yesterday in the morning. I went to the bathroom and I felt something really thick just coming up my throat, and I spat and it was bloody. And I was like, nope, nope. And it worried me so much because it felt terrible. Um, it was like just, it didn't want to go anywhere. It was just stuck there. And I'm like, whatever it is, I must have injured myself somewhere. And it is not healing because the blood was pretty bright red. So it either just happened or or uh or it's been there but it hasn't been healing. And that worried me somewhat. But anyway, I feel much better than I did a day ago and 2 days ago. Because let me tell you, I was completely out of the game. On Thursday, I came back home at around 12. I crashed, landed on this bed, and I was dead until 6 o'clock. And then I texted my boyfriend to tell him that I'm going to skip the gym because there's just no chance in hell that I can see myself lifting anything above my head on that particular day. Thursdays are shoulder day. And then I just so happened to yesterday, that's when my right shoulder started failing on me. And I said, nope, nope, I'm not interested. And then yesterday, I had every intention of trying to do something, maybe walk or something, but I just didn't have it in me. I was just like focusing hurts. Like I was talking to someone on the phone and I was telling them, I'm trying to remember the name of this Frozen song that I really liked. Because I was remembering the lyrics, but I wasn't remembering the title. And I said, I know it starts with one of the first 7 letters of the alphabet because in my phone, the song is near the top. My phone alphabetizes the songs. And I was trying to focus so hard to remember the name of the song that it gave me a headache. And what blew me away about that experience that I had never experienced before was that I had a colleague who, some 4 years ago, she got in a car wreck. And after that, she never came back for work. And when I saw her, she was saying that she had a sensitivity to light, which I have had too. Like yesterday, the sun was coming up from my window, and holy crap, it felt like fire was being like put right before my eyes. But anyway, my colleague said that she had a sensitivity to light and that she could not perform tasks that required her to think because it would give her a headache. And I'm like, what? There's no such thing as you getting a headache from thinking. How is that possible? I pretty much didn't believe her. Like I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not disrespectful. I'm not, like a bitch or anything. But when she said that to me, I did not want to believe her. And I was skeptical about it. I'm like, are you going to be one of those people who, like, you pretty much get a little bump on your head and you're already broken? Because I have met people like that. Like, some people just accidentally sort of like bump onto something like this, and they're like, "Oh my god, ouch, ow, ow, ouch," and I'm like, have some fucking tolerance. But me experiencing it myself, it's not bullshit. Shoot, it is not bullshit. It is possible to get a headache from thinking, and my life is now forever changed because I was like, I'm going to try to focus to remember the name of this stupid song because I don't want to look at my phone because the brightness of it is like, seriously, it felt like there was fire right at my eyeball. Like, imagine that you have like matches or something that are being lit right in front of you and it's being held right there. It just felt like heat coming into my eye. And what's crazy to me is that yesterday, for the entire day, turning my eyeball hurt. Like, if I tried to move my eyes, especially suddenly, I couldn't do it. If I cough, I would feel massive pressure in my face, and I still feel it today. And to me, that is so unbelievable. It helps to remind me just how connected everything is. But I feel like every time I get sick with something, it's never quite the same. Because I have been sick with the flu before, but the manifestation of the symptoms was significantly different. Whereas this thing is a whole nother demon. Like, I've never had it, first of all, attack me this suddenly, out of the blue, and also, like, really mess up with my joints. Like, that is the part that disturbed me the most, because I'm not someone who usually has joint issues. I'm gonna catch up with the comments, see what you guys are saying. Long time no see, Sam. Oh, hey! Opinionated Uploads. You used to be my... God, what was your name? I know it had something to do with you being a ginger. Were you like the ginger brother or something? Or... Yeah, I know you had something going on. I remember you. I totally remember you. And I also checked your videos at some point, and I was like, this guy's got some good opinions. And I know that when I got Dusty, you asked me if he was a tabby. And I was like, yep, he's a tapster. And then you told me that you have had various cats, but then were you allergic to them or something? I promise you I remember you. I'm kind of foggy right now, but I just don't want you to feel like you're forgotten. But it's good to see you. Glad you're not sick like you were in 2014. That is a scary situation. Yes! Like, on the plus side, getting sick with that thing, like I said, I cannot imagine something attacking me like that before I'm like 40 years old. Quite as bad as that, maybe. But that thing, I mean, when I used to walk to work, I gave myself an hour of walk time to make it to work. And I remember that my steps were like really, really baby steps. And I used to have to stop in the middle of my walk because my ankles, I'll never forget, it felt like there was an electric current going through them. And I also remember that I had this horrible, horrible headache. But the headache wasn't a blinding kind of headache. It was more of a something that persists, but it really didn't have much pressure to it. like the headache that I have right now. It was more of a headache that's just there. It's persistent, and it being persistent is what made it bad. But I'll never forget, it felt like my whole body was like electric. And then my mom, she kept trying to like she had bandages. She had, you guys know that little ice gel? Um anyway, it's blue, and she would bathe me in that thing. And I was like, Mom, don't do that because this shit is not making me any better. And then I forget what other meds she was trying to give me. But that lady was trying everything in her power to help me. And then the worst part about it is that back then we had pre scheduled for April 17th. I'll never forget. We had reserved plane tickets to go to Tennessee to pick up our stuff. If you guys remember my Kansas story, I might have mentioned this. But we had to go back to Tennessee to pick up the stuff that we had dropped off in a storage. And then we did the rest of the move with my car. And then we had to go back to get the stuff from the storage, and we had that set for April 17th. And the idea was that Mom would drive a truck to our final destination. And if you guys heard something funny, that's my stomach, and it's because I'm hungry as hell. But I will do my best to make it downstairs and prepare something. But but you guys know that when you're on a truck, you have to climb. And if you remember what I said a few moments ago, I couldn't go upstairs. So climbing onto the truck and stepping out of the truck, it would bring me to tears. I remember we stopped at a Subway to pick up something to eat. And I kept telling Mom, I don't want to get off. And I was already crying. I was like, I don't want to get off. And she's like, well, I don't think I can memorize what it is that you want. And I'm like, I don't care. I'll text it to you. And she was like, well, via text, you may forget something. Just try to make an effort. And I'm like, Mom, me being alive right now is a fucking effort. I was like so angry. I wasn't angry at her. I was angry at the state of my health and how useless I have become. Fortunately, we had some neighbors that helped us to break down the truck and whatnot. But I couldn't help her. There was a chair amongst our stuff, and I had to sit in it. And all I could do for Mom was pretty much push stuff closer to her with my feet. The stuff that was lighter. We got rid of most of our furniture, so fortunately it wasn't a big deal. But I just remember that I would lean on the chair as best as I could, and I would just push boxes to her, little boxes with like maybe jewels or something, very basic things. But man, I was absolutely destroyed from that experience. So now, anytime I get sick, I'm like, am I feeling an electric current in my joints? No, no big deal. Let's see. At least my cough doesn't sound as bad as it did yesterday and the day before. My cough used to be attached. I would cough one time, and it's like I would cough many times on top of that time, if that makes sense. It's not like a cough. This was like a kind of cough. I don't even recognize my own coughs anymore. I would rub your back, make you hot chocolate, and buy you painkillers and pads. Did you ever find out what you had in 2014? No, I never did. But my father, yes, my father, when I gave him a brief description of it, he said that I seemed to be describing exactly what some people he knew had, which it was probably some kind of disease that you get if you get bit by something. It started with a C. It had a really long weird name. I don't remember it at all. But yeah, it was the so-called C disease of 2014. Holy shit, I need water. Hold on, guys. Oh, this is not going well for me. Well, I am proud of myself. I lasted this long without major complications. Okay. Greetings. I need to detox. Still watching you from Qatar. Yay! But yeah, Jimmy, my father believes that that's probably what I was dealing with because he said if your joints really feel that bad, as bad as you describe, then we have had many reports over here of people with those symptoms. And he's a cop, so he would know about this type of thing. And I'm trying to remember, like, this is something that I meditate on so much, and I try to remember. Did I get bit by anything back then? And I think I was so focused on the pain that I wouldn't have noticed it. But it is possible because during springtime, I am the I am like honey to freaking mosquitoes because all mosquitoes come to me. So it wouldn't surprise me if every terrible bug ever just felt attracted to me. Um, Let me see if I can find the name of that so-called disease. I know it started with a C. Um, of course, since I don't know how to spell it, Google is trying to say that no documents can be found. I think it also had a Y somewhere in the middle of the name. But just to have some filler while I do my searching. Actually, I'm not going to search anymore. If it comes to me, I'll be sure to mention it. But I remember specifically, I'll never forget, this time last year for the New Year predictions. I saw it on two sources online, and one person in person told me. And then maybe it was some kind of almanac or something. I don't think it was the farmer's almanac, but anyways, I saw it on something, and I believe in this stuff. They were saying that this year will bring a lot of disease and a lot of death. And every time I hear of celebrities who have been succumbing to disease, I'm like, shit, if these are people with money and power, what chances do I have, you know? Like, I'm still tripping over that guy who was a sports reporter, and he died on his birthday and on Christmas Eve. So that's like double tragedy. I wonder how his family are coping with that. And this was someone who never got sick. And I would imagine he had good access to healthcare. He seemed to be on his way to recovery because from what he was tweeting, he was doing some antibiotics, I think. And he was just talking to people, being like, "Hey, what have you guys done if you've had any experience with this? Because I'm very miserable right now." And then people were telling him all kinds of things. You're thinking this person is faring well. Just give them some time and they'll put themselves back together. And yeah, next thing you know, he's gone. He was only 34. It it just I've read of people who have died on their birthdays before, and I have always thought that has an extra element of tragic to it because I'm thinking, well, I was born in the evening. I think I was born at 6:10 p.m. So I'm thinking technically I do not turn age until past that time. Um but yeah, I think about that guy and I'm like, you just never know. You just never know. Um, Take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every 20 minutes until you detox. Drink a liter of water every 20 minutes as well. Oh my god, I ran out of my electrolyte water and I can feel the difference. Like, I'm having the toughest time staying better hydrated, but I'm going to try to make an effort to go out and go somewhere close by. I have grocery stores everywhere in here. I just need to like gather my strength a little bit. My goal for today was to do some light movements at least because the clothes that I was holding are still like right there. And I still have another mountain of clothes to fold. It's just closet things that I was organizing and stuff that I'm getting rid of because I no longer fit into it or it's just not my style anymore. And I'm thinking, why is it that every time I embark in a new project, major project, something happens that puts me out of the game? If it's not a shitty schedule, I get sick or just something happens. But but it's okay. I will get to it when I get to it. Install a blue block intensity of your phone's light. On the iPhone, you can use this thing called Sunset, and it does that. The screen turns, it looks like a sunset color. It turns reddish orange, and there's like no blue light whatsoever. And I activate that after 6 p.m. Yeah, it comes on automatically. And during the course of the day, I wouldn't even bother turning it on outside of those hours because I was just not near the phone. Like, I was canceled, dead, annihilated, destroyed, not alive. So I had no care about what setting my phone had. So I just left it at that. uh, Night shift, not nightshade. Yeah. Lyme disease. It's not Lyme disease. That comes from a tick bite. I hear you, mosquitoes love me too, but I assure you the feeling isn't mutual. And I just thought about something. Jimmy, like some 6 days ago, I remembered that I totally never got back to you, but I promise you it has not been a lack of desire or a lack of effort, but I haven't forgotten. And I also need to get back to a friend who has been waiting for me to write back to them since August. And my godfather has texted me 2 times during the course of the holidays, and I have just been flat out ignoring him. I'm not ignoring him over anything bad or anything like that. It's just I have not been able to I have not been able to people right lately. And I feel so bad because these are people who are interested in me, genuine. They're like the kindest folks that I have the privilege of having in my life. But I'm like, why is this so difficult for me? It's like a part of my brain just goes dead and I just cannot people right. And then I sort of just disappear from the face of the planet. And then I come here to the channel and start crying about how I'm alone and lonely and undesired and nobody loves me. And I'm like, well, what am I doing to fix the gap with the bridge, right? But I also tell myself I need to be nicer to myself because I also did not have the strongest foundation of social skills. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse. I never try to go for excuses. I can, if I ever offer something that is an excuse, is an attempt at explaining the source of the problem. It's not that I'm looking for justification because I hate that. I don't like to find refuge in excuses. But if I'm trying to understand where the source of the problem comes from, it may better assist me at resolving it. But I always think about that. I'm like, why is it that I'm like almost 30 years old and I have been working in a public setting for the past 7-ish years and I still do not know how to deal with people? Even the people who are in my personal life, you know? Um, but when I think about it, I just tell myself not everyone is designed for this. Some people are better at it than others. But I'm just happy that I have come a long way since. So so I just like to give myself credit for that because in the past I wouldn't have had mercy with myself. I always forget that my shoulders busted. um I'm thinking that much vitamin C in that short time can't be good for your kidneys. When it comes to vitamin C, I tend to get it more from food sources. Mm, Colds, flus, and pneumonia usually happen because you are dehydrated, you need to poop, or vitamin C deficiency. They are easy fixes. Yeah, it's amazing how simple deficiencies in your body are the result of um, deficiencies. Something that I'm trying to work on is my zinc intake because I just forget about it. I think that eating fish will resolve it, and I'm like, I just don't eat enough fish, and I'm like starting to question myself: is fish even a source of zinc? I know that there is something that I used to eat that had a good source of zinc, but now I cannot even think anymore of what is a source of what. Like, what does chicken do for me? Protein? I can get it in a protein powder, can't I? Anyways, yeah, guys, I just cannot brain anymore. Um, it will not harm you. I do what I just suggested on the rare occasion when I have a cold. However, I'm not giving medical advice. I figured you were just very busy and that you're still not feeling 100%. I'll hear from you when I hear from you. Yeah, don't beat yourself up, Zam. No one is always perfect, especially when it comes down to dealing with humans. That sounds like something Ollie would say. What is something he said? It was so hilarious. One time he said, one oh yeah, one time he said, I was venting to him about something, and let's say that the event was one of the stories that I shared in here. It's definitely one of those, but let's pretend it was the guy who called asking for help with a product, and then I said, sure, what's the department? And then he said, it's not a department, it's a product. And I was like, what department does the product in question correspond to? I don't know, produce. And then he said, motherfucker, what is your major malfunction? Why can't you just fucking think? And when he said it like that, it made me feel so much better, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Because it's true. What is your malfunction? How can you not associate that I am trying to be efficient at handling your call? I am probably not the designated person to answer your incredibly specific question, right? But just answer my question. I asked which department it is. You mean to tell me you don't know this is a department store? That's how stuff is broken down around here? But but yeah, when he said it like that, like, what's your major malfunction? Why can't you just fucking think? It just made me feel so much better. Because I'm thinking, I thought I was crazy. Sometimes I think I'm the one who's retarded. I'm the one who's dumb. I'm the one who's like just messed up in the head. Whatever word is appropriate to describe when you're just not in shape to deal with things on a mental level. but but like I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have problems. You have problems. And unfortunately, I think I get carried away by the fact that sometimes I think that I sometimes think of myself as a very inferior being. I don't know why, but it's probably because my achievements have never really been celebrated. Like, for me, it was always expected that I would bring home good grades no matter what, but I was never really explained the reason why good grades are important. And then at work, it's like, sure, I'm the worker who never calls out. I'm the worker who, once you teach me something, I learn it. I remember what I learned, and I do it well the next time I come in consistently. That when something like that happens, I automatically want to get frustrated with myself and blame myself, especially if back when I had a really bad management who never really celebrated my accomplishments either. Sometimes I just get frustrated, and I'm like, you know what? I totally deserve that because I'm a complete piece of crap. If I were any better, I would have already moved up within the company. And then I said, the whole reason I don't move up is because I don't want to be more of a core slave than I already am, because I do not need to be holding higher positions, positions with higher stress and responsibilities, and in a place and an industry where I am miserable. So when I think about it like that, no, I don't need to move up. Because if I move up, I'm going to end up like everyone I work with. Everyone has had surgery of some sort with their bodies: knee replacement, foot replacement, head replacement. Like, maybe you cannot, if you could replace your brain, you would probably have brain replacement surgery too. And everyone's marriage have failed. Like, seriously, of all the people who I started working with, I can think of two people who have been long term married. Long term meaning more than 10 years, and they're still together. But I'm thinking, no, I don't need to be jealous of that. And no amount of going up in like ranks is going to make me happier, because what I am trying to do is not have to work for anybody. Whereas if I keep going up in ranks, that's more responsibility, more people I have to answer to. And while it is true that being in a higher position can make you happier because you're not at the suckier lower level, like the rock bottom, like you are given better attention, you're given better considerations and whatnot. I'm thinking I don't deserve that for me. Like no, like my goals are too simplistic and easily achievable to where if I commit more of my time to a company, what is truly important for me, I won't be able to work on. So I have to make a little bit of a sacrifice. Reduce my pay, have no benefits, take major risks, but hopefully I will change my life for the better. And if I ever have kids, I will be able to have something to pass on to them. So when I focus on the end goal of what I'm doing, that's when I say, you know what, I'm not crazy. You're the crazy one. And I will let anyone make me feel like there is something wrong with me. Because I used to be so easily influenced. It's unbelievable. Like, I allowed myself to be emotionally abused by boyfriends, family, co workers. And I'm like, why do I not defend myself from these crazy ass people? So now that I have learned to stand up for myself, all I like to do in my day is destroy people who try to mess with me. I phrase it like that. I don't really like bring anybody down. It's just that I call people out on their bullshit. And that's not something I used to do 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago plus. And now that I'm able to, I just don't want to go back to a time in which I allow myself to get disrespected like that, especially when I don't deserve it. Let's see. So yeah, Jamie, I'm so glad that you phrased it like this. I just it, dealing with humans. When I hear someone phrase it like that, dealing with humans, I can't help but find it hilarious because I get mind blown by how many people feel that way. That when I find more people like that, I just want to hold hands with everybody. I came late to the party again. Well, Mike, you haven't really missed much. I was pretty much rambling about earlier in the stream. I was just describing the symptoms of this demonic flu that I got. And all you need to know is my joints are messed up, my right shoulder is busted, and sneezing isn't bad. Coughing gets bad when I allow myself to get critically dehydrated, and my eyeballs hurt like really bad, and my headache feels like it's being crushed on both sides of the head at the same time. But other than that, we're good. You know, I'm just over here rambling about nothing like I always do based on the comments, trying to keep the spirit alive until my next coughing fit happens. And then I'll excuse myself to drink some water to lubricate the inside of my throat, like, you know, where my folds are at or whatever produces sounds. And I also described how I cannot think anymore and how it hurts to think sometimes. And I called out to work from work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Dealing with people is hard. It's tough not to get stuck in the trap of comparing yourself to others. Try not to let yourself get stuck in that trap. Absolutely not. I was deep in that trap. But now that I feel like I'm mostly freed up from it, it's like I just want to get to 100% freed from it. And I don't think you ever truly can, because as humans, we have a competitive nature too. But when I think about competitiveness, I'm never trying to prove that I'm better than anybody, because I will inherently be better than some people on some things, just like other people will inherently be better than me at some other things. But I I think that competitiveness gets toxic if you allow it to get toxic. And I think some people do not know how to handle that. And maybe that's how we end up with some of the problems that we have nowadays. Before I start coughing, I'm going to get some more liquids inside of me. God, the act of drinking something can feel so difficult. I worked writing and patching computer operating systems for 40 years, and when I was in a bad mood, I could convince myself the computer was giving lip. Oh my god. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been 60 minutes. I think I need a little bit of a nap, restore some energy, and hopefully do something with my day, such as eating. And yeah, I can't make any promises that I'll be back later, but I would love to since it's Saturday, and usually I didn't go work out on Saturdays. But yeah, I'll let you guys know how I'm holding up. My goal is to be better by Monday, like better enough to where on Tuesday I can work my dreadful 8 hour shift and then show up for my Wednesday shift. And then after that, I happen to have the schedule was arranged in a way that I had a few days off in a row. And I'm like, oh, wow, that never happens. But I am so hungry right now. I think I should try to nibble on some snacks before I try to take a nap because unfortunately I could not sleep very well last night. I think it's because I spent most of uh, noon through the evening of Thursday and all of yesterday just did that. Maybe I slept so much that I don't feel like I need to sleep anymore. Right now, I'm not really sleepy, but I feel like I'm starting to lack some energy. So I think I just need to eat. Maybe if I eat the source of energy, maybe that'll help me shake away this feeling. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. It was so good to hang out with you guys that I feel like I never see you guys anymore. But hello, if I'm not here, then it's totally my fault. But just know that I'm never trying to quit or bail on the channel. It's just I got issues. That's all you need to know. Have you tried a massage for the aches and steam room or spa perspiration? It helps get body ailments at, out. I am not an MD. A lot of people recommend steam and stuff so much. What I do is, since this is the only thing I really have available right now, is I turn my bathroom into a steam room. Like, I make my bathroom so hot, it feels like I am taking a shower in the pits of hell. Like, seriously. Of course, I don't shower with such hot water. I leave it running for a bit. And then when I step into it, I make it a little cooler. But definitely. I used to have a gym membership to somewhere that they had a really nice spa, but I had to cancel it. I'm going to try to get the membership back around March or so, but I'm missing it now. I used to not really use the amenities, and I'm like, bitch, now that I need the amenities, I don't have access to it. They also had like a little, it's like this little pool that's, I guess you could call it a jacuzzi, but anyways, it would sort of bubble and it had a timer. I used to do 15 minutes. It felt really nice. When I got sick the first time around, I was like, I'm going to step into this thing on a day when I am not terribly congested. And I tried it and it felt great. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm like a Saiyan and I'm in one of those little chambers and this water is just healing me. That's how I felt like. Have a good afternoon, be safe, and see you later. Carmex, coffee, codeine, and cookies. You'll feel better. Unfortunately, I have had bad experiences with codeine, and my bad experience with codeine is that I had an allergic reaction to it. That has been my only known life threatening allergy that I have ever had in my life. However, this reaction happened when I was an infant. So I am not sure if it's one of those things that you can sort of grow out of your allergy. And what I mean by that is that maybe you had a bad experience with it one time, but it never really happens. Just like some people claim to be allergic to egg, but somehow you can still eat egg based products. And sometimes I feel like if I were to feed someone who's like that, something secretly, they'll get sick after finding out that they just had egg. And of course, it's not like I would try such a thing, not at all. That would be a very terrible thing to do. But for some of the people who don't realize that they're eating egg, I know that there's a way that you can prepare egg to where it doesn't really affect you like that. But I'm thinking maybe you have an intolerance, but you don't have an allergy. Because for me, I am intolerant of shrimp as of right now, but I don't have a full allergy. But it only takes one time. So therefore, I stopped eating shrimp. That, and it's not something that I should really be messing with anyway. Just like pork. So so yeah, sometimes I think that some of these things may be psychological, but again, I'm not dismissing anybody's symptoms or anything. Nothing like that. It's just that there is someone in my immediate social circle who has issues with egg, and I'm like, go on, go on. It's psychological. And, I just want to prove to this person that it's psychological. But but yeah, I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I intend to, because I know it's psychological. Like all the people who have become gluten intolerant since it has been in the news. Yes! Like, it's like, it'll never cease to amaze me. Ouch. Ever since I started working, I had been getting gluten free questions as of 7 years ago. But the incidence has been increasing, and I'm like, why? Why is it that all of a sudden we cannot handle the ancient diets, you know, that everybody else has been dependent on? I'm not going to dismiss it. I think that anything in excess can be bad. Like the human body can learn to associate something as toxic depending on how you use it or how it um the effect it has on you. But you mean to tell me that all of a sudden the whole planet is going to be gluten intolerant? No. No. So honestly, I think that some of it is that you were already in poor health and maybe your body just cannot do well with this type of thing. So maybe that's where the allergy comes from. But I feel like some other people just hear that gluten may not be good for you and then they want to get on that bandwagon and be like, I heard that gluten free stuff is better for you. So I'm going to start eating gluten free. Where's your gluten free bread? Where's your gluten free potatoes? Ma'am, I assure you, your potatoes are gluten free. Nuh-uh! I don't see the gluten free certification. Yes, that happened to me. Hi, Zamri. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Jordan. I will say ancient grains had far less gluten than the new GMO grains of today, but they still had gluten. Yes, absolutely. I guess the kinds of diets we had back then were balanced, and now I feel like everything ever has those ingredients. Like eating was a complete ritual. It was like sacred, treated as sacred. So people were not eating for bullshit reasons. I mean, think of this country, for example. Here in America, everywhere that you turn to, there is a fucking McDonald's. I guarantee you, gluten free is not a, or McDonald's is not a gluten free facility. There's a lot of pizza places, and I guarantee you that most of those pizza places are not gluten free. And even if they could serve you gluten free pizza, how can you, unless you have a standalone gluten free Pizza Hut, for example, there's no way that you can claim that you're selling gluten free pizza if your facility can process non gluten free pizzas and you are sharing that counter. You know, you're not a dedicated gluten free facility. So even then, you're imposing a risk of contamination to anyone who genuinely needs to be gluten free. But at the same time, if you need to be genuinely gluten free, why are you entrusting your health and well being to people who do not specialize on that type of thing? But yeah, donut shops, do you think they have gluten free donuts? Hell no. And not only are they not gluten free, but all of these places just have extra junk in it. Like all these additives, artificial ingredients, colors, preservatives, sugars. Like, you don't need to be adding sugar to something that is already carby, you know? But I find that our discipline when it comes with eating has become less regulated because of how easily mass produced food is nowadays. Whereas back then, everyone had a schedule for eating that they stuck to. And maybe that's the reason people did not struggle with their weight so much. Some people, hell, some people, if they didn't grow their own food, it's possible they didn't eat or they couldn't eat as well. They had to wait until God knows what happens for them to get food. But but at the same time, that encouraged people to have their own stuff, their own gardens, and people became good with food, producing food. That's something that I wish I had as a skill. Because let me tell you, every time I have tried to plant something, it fucking dies on me. Whereas my grandma, she can pretty much blow into a seed, and there's already a huge tree just coming from the roots while still attached to her hand. I'm like, how do you do it? And then her father was also good with planting stuff and raising animals. To me, that's fucking magic. I can only dream of being able to like aspire to such a thing, you know? It makes me feel like I'm living my life wrong because useful skills that can actually ensure civilization keeps moving forward, I'm not learning that. And it's not really being promoted either. But yeah, you guys, this is it. I'm gonna quit for real now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.